Jacqueline, and today I'm going to talk about albinism. The National Organization for Albinism and Hypopigmentation states that 1 in every 20,000 Americans suffers from albinism. 1 in 1764 birds and 1 in 10,000 fish also suffer, according to the Missouri Department for Conservation. Every species on Earth is capable of creating a variant that is devoid of pigmentation. While albinos are very fascinating to look at, both humans and animals, they suffer unique and challenging problems. As rare as it may seem, any child is only 2 recessive parent genes away from being born with it, and it's important to be informed in the case that you must face this. Personally, my best friend growing up in high school faced albinism, and that's how I know about it, and how I know that having informed parents will help you in the future. Today I'm going to talk about what albinism is, the types of it for both animals and humans, and the problems each species faces. Let's start with an explanation. Albinism is an inherited genetic trait that reduces melanin pigment formed in your hair, skin, and eyes. You can have both partial and full albinism. For animals, it's more common to be partially albino, but for people, it's more common to be all the way albino. To start with genetics, basically, inside your body, the thing that makes you tan, darker, any color, is provided by melanin, which is a pigment produced by a cell called a melanocyte. In albinism, there is a genetic mutation in the DNA that prevents the melanocyte from giving the melanin or from delivering it to the skin, or hair, or eyes. In animals, there are 2 types. In full albinism in animals, they have white fur and red eyes, and that's all there is to it. But there are 3 different kinds of partial. There's the normal, which is if you have a black bear, partial albinism, the bear would be light brown. There's piebald, which gives them white spots. It's very common in dogs, like dachshunds, piebald dachshunds. They look like a normal dachshund, but they have white spots. The last one is leucitic, where they look in every way, all the way white, except for their very dark eyes. In humans, there are 2 main types of albinism, oculotaneous and ocular. In oculotaneous, everything is white. There are 2 main types. In the first type, pupils are red, everything is white. You have snow white hair, snow white skin, quite like this picture. They are completely and totally white. The reason for the red in the pupil is because normally in humans, our black pupils are created by pigments in our eye that reflect the light back out. But with albinos, there is no pigment, so this red creates, the red is blood vessels behind the eye. So you can literally see their blood. The second amount of oculotaneous albinism is where they have a small amount of pigment, but not a lot. So you might see light blonde hair, sometimes even brown, maybe a tiny bit of color to their skin, and the pupils, they aren't black like normal pupils, but they are gray at least. Ocular albinism is albinism that only affects the eyes, which is very uncommon, but it's possible. You've learned how albinism works. Now let's talk about the threats. In animals, they have a lot of problems. For one thing, as the predator, they can't see their prey. They can't see where to hunt, and so lots of times they just starve to death. They have no protection from the sun, which will burn them, and animals do get skin cancer just like people. Poachers are very interested in poaching albino animals because the rarer the pelt, the more money they'll get for them. As the prey, albino animals suffer because they have no camouflage to protect them, and their mates actually reject them. They see something that does not look like one of them, so they don't want anything to do with it. You've learned what animals face. Now let's talk about humans, which is slightly different, but slightly human albinos have very common, very high chances of getting skin cancer due to the fact that they have no pigment to protect them from it. And a lot of times sunscreen isn't enough. They prefer just to be completely covered and not be in the sun if possible, which is unfortunate because a lot of them love outdoor activities. Most of them are legally blind in the daylight. At nighttime, it's very common for them to be able to drive because the light is what affects their eyes because the glare goes completely into their pupil. Remember the red in the retinas. In a social sense, and people of color have a large problem with albinos because these children's father might assume that he is not the father due to the coloring. They don't look like siblings from a color sense, but they actually look like each other with the bone structure and stuff. The worst part about being an albino human, though, is the murders. The Scientific American explains how machete-wielding maniacs go through and chop off their legs, heads, and genitals to use as good luck talismans. This is most common in Africa, but there have been a couple cases in America as well. I've told you about what albinism is in animals and humans, what troubles they face, and now I feel that you are informed. It is important to know everything about an albino in case your next child is born albino or you adopt an albino pet snake. Thank you.